Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dominique Jackson, Glenda Testone, Executive Director of the LGBT Center. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Glenda Testone, and I am honored to be the Executive Director of the LGBT Community Center in which you stand. I want to thank you all so much for being here on this historic occasion. I don't need to tell you that things are not going so great in other places in our country. And so when something goes right, and I have to say, there seems to be a lot going right in New York State right now, we need to celebrate. Before we begin, I would like to welcome some of the special guests we have today. And I can already tell, scanning the room, there are a lot of special guests, so please forgive me if I forget anyone. We have to start with Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. We could not have a better advocate for women and for our community, so thank you. I want to thank the sponsors of the bills we are signing here today. You cannot applaud enough for these folks. Senator Brad Hoylman, Assembly Member Dick Gottfried, yes, and Assembly Member Deborah Glick. We are joined by a number of celebrities here today. I am personally thrilled. When I was a little girl growing up in Syracuse and I had a pond in the back of my house, I used to pretend I was a figure skater. We have an actual figure skater here. We have United States champion figure skater Adam Rippon. We also have from the hit TV show Pose, India Moore. Thank you for being here. She's amazing. I hope you're all big fans of the show. And we have Dominique Jackson. From the hit film Saturday Church, we have Damian Cardassis, Alexa Garcia, yay, and Luca Kane. Hi. We have the author of Boy Erased, Gerard Connolly. If you have not read the book, please read it. And we have transgender model and activist Chella Mann. Woo! Members of the governor's administration, we have Melissa De Rosa, secretary to the governor. We have Alfonso David, who we all know and love. Thank you, Alfonso. We have Roberta Reardon, who is our Commissioner of Labor, and Rose Harvey, Commissioner of Parks. We're privileged to have New York City Council member Ben Kalos, thank you, Ben, and Yonkers City Council member Michael Sabatino. And You're going to hear a lot of this today. There's so much that went into making this happen, and so it's an honor to be able to thank our once original bill sponsor, Tom DeWayne. I'll tell you, I know this is a press conference, but it really feels like a celebration. And there are so many people that helped us get here. Specifically for their advocacy around gender, and there are so many people that help make this possible. I am not going to be able to name them all. There are people who are no longer with us. This really started in the state with Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson. And today, I want to thank some of the many advocates and activists over the years who carried this gender torch. Kiara St. James, Tanya Walker, Julie Gray Owens, Kristen Bodie, thank you, Kristen. Oh, see, Ari Moore, and Melissa Scalars. Thank you. And for their work on the conversion therapy advocacy, I really have to thank Matthew Shirka. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew is a fellow New Yorker and the founder of Born Perfect and the lead advocate on this issue, so thank you. And our friends at the Trevor Project, who have been carrying this end conversion therapy message across the country, so thank you to the Trevor Project. Today is a day that we have been waiting and fighting for a very long time. After years of fierce advocacy and activism by the people in this room and countless others who are not in this room that we have lost to hate, and with supporters like Governor Cuomo and the legislators here today, we got it done. The passage of gender and the ban on conversion therapy practices are major steps forward for the LGBTQ community and signal that New York State is a true progressive leader that affirms transgender and gender nonconforming and non-binary New Yorkers. On a personal note, and I know enough of you to know that each of us has a story that we could tell. This is not just about policy, it's about people's lives. And today, my family is more protected because of what New York State has done. My spouse is transgender and non-binary. And last week, we welcomed a newborn baby girl into the world and into our family. And I could not be happier to be bringing her up in a state that will not tell her she is anything but perfect. So thank you. So on behalf of the center and the entire LGBTQ community, I applaud everyone who made this day possible. I want to especially thank Governor Cuomo for his unwavering commitment to our community and to equality and to justice. From passing marriage equality to taking executive action to protect trans and gender nonconforming people, even before gender, from discrimination, to including this legislation in his 100-day justice agenda, which I don't know if you've been reading the news, but it's going very well, fast and furious, so congratulations. The governor has been a national champion for our community, and he's done so for years. And so it is my honor and my privilege to introduce you all to a man that needs no introduction, the governor of our great state, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Glenda Testone and the center, aren't they great? Let's thank them for everything they do. God bless you. How great is Glenda? With a new baby at home, she's that sharp in the morning. Today is press conference celebration. Most of all, it's an emotional day. for me. Days like this, when you see we make this type of progress, you tend to remember how long the struggle has been and how many people felt pain during that struggle and how many people we lost who aren't with us here today and who we lost before they saw the good days and they saw the accomplishments and they saw the acceptance. And let's give them a round of applause, all the early ones. Senator Tom Duane, talk about a pioneer, talk about someone who went out there and told a story of pain and truth that opened people's eyes. Let's give Tom Duane a round of applause. God bless you. God bless you. Tom Duane was there when he worked with a gentleman named Mario Cuomo, who was the first governor in the nation to talk about the problem of HIV and AIDS. That's what New York was with your leadership. And that's what we're trying to continue. Dominique Jackson, who if I had that much of her talent, I wouldn't have to be doing what I'm doing. Let's give her a big round of applause. You'll hear from her in a moment. Our sponsors, Brad Hoylman and Deborah Glick, we thank them. You're going to hear from Brad and Deborah. Dick Gottfried has carried the gender bill for more years than I care to remember. I'll bet you it's like 15, 16 years. And he never, ever gave up. Stand up, Dick. Let us say thank you once again. To our great Lieutenant Governor, to my secretary, first female secretary in the history of the state of New York, Melissa DeRosa, and to give her a round of applause. And to a council who has probably done more to move this issue forward, one way or another. We set a goal and somehow we get it done. And that's Alfonso David. God bless you. First, I want to thank everyone in this room, and I want to thank the people of the state of New York for the honor of giving me another term to serve as governor of this great state. There is no greater honor. Glenda mentioned that it's a crazy time. She couldn't be more right. No one could make up the situation that we are in. And it gets worse every day. Today, they issue a ground stop. They halt flights leaving LaGuardia Airport. Why do they do that? Because due to the federal shutdown, there are too few staff at the FAA in Washington to adequately control air traffic, and they have to reduce flights coming from airports on the East Coast like LaGuardia due to the staffing shortage. I mean, look at the level of madness that we have going on in this nation right now, where a purely political shutdown, when the president talks about the wall, this is just a campaign symbol to him. This is what he said in the campaign. I'm going to get you a wall. Was there any policy? Was there any intelligence? Did any genius say this is how you do it? No. But it's not about policy. And it's not about what works. It's about pure base politics. And he wants to be able to say to his political people who believe the future is by excluding other people, I got you the wall. And now it's not just Washington. In the Beltway, now literally, they're slowing down air traffic in the United States of America. The hypocrisy of a president who talks about helping the economy, this is going to do nothing but set us back. He talks about security. Meanwhile, the TSA agents at the airports are furloughed and aren't getting paid. So it's another day of federal madness. The good news is that in light of the federal madness, it makes what New York does even more important. And what you're seeing here really is a juxtaposition between one philosophy and one mentality in Washington, and New York is laying out a totally different alternative and philosophy. Now, Glenda said we've been very busy. And we have been. We have been busy. We were always busy, but this is like hectic, busy like I've never seen. Signing a lot of bills. My daughter calls me and said, boy, you're doing a lot. Same thing Glenda said. I said, have you been following it? Well, you've been doing a lot, which means she hasn't been following it, and she's afraid of the follow-up question. I said, well, isn't it amazing? Well, yeah, but it's a lot. She said, it's a lot. I said, yeah, they are, the volume is high, and they are apparently different, the bills that we're passing, but they're really not different. There's really a common link under all of these bills that connects. And they are all defining a different set of social values than what we see in Washington. Not just are we saying we are different than Washington and articulating a different philosophy and an alternative for the American people while we protect our people, but we're then actually acting on it. And the acting on it, as my colleagues in the legislature have demonstrated, that's everything in government. You know why? Because people are too tired of just talking and saying, and my position is this, and I propose this, and I believe this. Who cares at one point what you think and what you believe? What did you do to make my life better? What did you do to secure my rights? What have you accomplished for me? So passing the law that changes reality, that's what it's about, and that's what we're doing. And every one of these bills is a juxtaposition to what they're doing. They say in Washington, we're going to appoint Supreme Court justices who can roll back Roe v. Wade because we want to take us back 47 years ago. Roe v. Wade was decided. 47 years. And this president and this administration wants to take us back 47 years. We say, no, no. You're taking us back. We're going forward. We're going to sign a letter. We're going to pass a woman's right to choose and put it into the law, and I want a constitutional amendment so no legislature or governor can change it. They want to argue about building walls, and immigrants are bad. We're saying immigrants are bad. We are all immigrants in New York. We're all here from somewhere else. Unless you're a Native American, we embrace immigration. It gives us energy. It helps us. It helps our economy. So we passed the DREAM Act so we can educate our people here so they can be stronger and more successful, which makes us all stronger and more successful. They want to disenfranchise voters. They believe the more people vote, the worse for them, which is a problem when you're in elected office. My advice would be, don't create that problem. But they have. So now they have to stop people from voting at this time when people feel alienated. We believe the exact opposite. And we just passed laws that allow voting easier than ever before with early voting, pre-registration. Let people vote. It's all the same point. They believe in a duality of society. One set of rules for the rich and the powerful, and another set of rules for everyone else. Next week, we're going to pass the Child Victims Act, which is very simple. Whoever abuses a child should be held liable. I don't care if you're rich, I don't care if you're powerful, I don't care if you're a rabbi, a priest, or a shoemaker. Whoever abuses a child should be liable. Next week, we're going to pass more gun safety laws. Why? Because they're saying the Second Amendment above all. How do we fight guns? Give everybody a gun. And then everything could be a shootout because the good people could shoot against the bad people. We'll give teachers guns. Everybody will have a gun. And everything will be a spontaneous Wild West shootout. Yeah. It's madness. We passed the toughest gun safety law in the United States of America after the Sandy Hook massacre in Connecticut. I took a lot of political heat for it. It was the first in the nation. And a lot of people were angry, and they said, well, we overreacted because Sandy Hook massacre, that was a once in a lifetime. It'll never happen again. Oh, really? Again and again and again, we have more school shootings, more mass shootings than at any time in history. We don't need less gun control. We need more sensible gun control. And that's what we're going to do next week. And today, we sign the gender bill, which says it all. The Supreme Court says you can discriminate against transgender in the military. That's what they said last week. We say today, no, you can't. You cannot discriminate against people by gender identity, period. And I want everyone in this room to be proud of what we have done on our leadership on this issue together. There is no state that has been more aggressive in advocating and achieving rights and acceptance for the LGBTQ community than the state of New York. No state has done what we have done. First big state to pass marriage equality, and we changed the dialogue in the nation because of your work. We stopped reimbursement for conversion therapy and called it the farce that it is. 2015, we took an executive action that said no discrimination against a person on the basis of a gender identity, period. And today, we're going to sign it into law. This, my friends, this is New York at its best. This is New York at its best. And it's New York showing two different paths at a time when this nation is scared and confused and fearful of the future. And what they're really saying at the end of the day in Washington is very basic and simple. And it's not just anti-New York. It is anti-American. What they are trying to do is draw lines of division. Their strategy has always been divide and conquer. And what they're trying to say to the people of this country is, we're different, and the differences should generate fear and anger and hate. We have different religions, different races, different sexual orientations, and they use that to spread fear. New York says the opposite. Of course we're different. We said from day one we were different. The founding of the nation was premised on the point that we were different. We said we're going to invite everyone from around the world. We said that. And we said, Statue of Liberty, e pluribus unum, it's on this flag, on the U.S. seal behind the president's desk. All he has to do is turn around and look at it. It says, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. We will accept and we will promise equality. That's the American value. Don't preach to us about who's more American and more patriotic. We believe in the original founding of this nation. Full equality for all. And that's all we're asking for, but that's what we're demanding, and that's what we're achieving today. And my last point is this. Their way will not work. Spreading fear will not work. Spreading division will not work, because hate is not the strongest four-letter word. Love is the strongest four-letter word. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dominique Jackson.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dominique Jackson. I currently play the role of Electra Abundance on the television series Pose. But above and beyond that, I'm a woman. I'm a West Indian woman. I'm an immigrant. I'm a woman of color. But most of all, I am a human being. It is a pleasure to be here for this historic day for New York and really for the country. Governor Cuomo, I thank you. I've admired you from afar for many, many years. Because of you, I was able to stand and look in a mirror and realize that my body was finally aligned. NYU was able to do my surgery because of you. I thank you. Because what you are doing here is setting an example for other states and this federal government to follow. Today, the administration in Washington is doing everything it can to take this nation backwards and trample on the rights of the LGBTQ IA+ community. It is un-American and it is frightening, but we are resilient. In these dark times, we look to states like New York to lead the way. To you, Governor Cuomo, when you're running for president. And that's exactly what Governor Cuomo and the legislature are doing today. The legislation that Governor Cuomo is signing sends a strong message that New York stands with the LGBTQIA+ community and affirms transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary New Yorkers. So, I want to thank all those who refuse to give up on making New York a more inclusive state and shining a light for other states to follow. Kiara, I love you. My sweetheart, I love you. Sean Coleman, Destination Tomorrow, the LGBTQ Center in the Bronx, I love you. Javon Martin, my brother, Princess Janae's Place, I love you. And I want to thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership on this issue. This state is fortunate to have a leader who has fought relentlessly for the rights of the transgender community. Before you did this, we went to Mexico. We went to Belgium, we went to Brazil. Many of my sisters died on tables and were burnt, incinerated. But because of you, you made it okay for someone like me, for someone like my sisters and my brothers, to be able to be in New York City, in New York State, and have the surgeries that we need that make us stand up and be proud and be who we are. And Alfonso, I love you. Governor Cuomo took action. And this is what I love, because just like Ryan Murphy did with Pose, Governor Cuomo has been doing this for years. He took action when the Republican Senate refused, and then he made this legislation a top priority this year with a Democratic legislature, and New York got it done. I come from an island where if you drive 3 hours, you drive into the sea. I'm so serious. But coming to New York City, I came to Baltimore first. And when my family did not understand me, I knew that New York would. And I came to New York. And because of people like you, because of people like Kiara and Sean Coleman and Javon Martin, because of all of you that have let me know that I can be who I am, that I can stand before you today and say that I am an actress that tells a story. That is the kind of leadership we need today more than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all. And to my brothers and sisters, my trans brothers and sisters, I want to tell you something. We don't come from much. We are always told that we're abominations. We're always told that we don't belong. Cecilia, when you stood and accepted that award at Bronx Pride, and you said to them, you're honoring a prostitute. No one understood how deep that was. But for me, it was amazing because you let me know that it was okay to be me, that the things that I had to do to survive didn't mean that it limited me. When Melissa Scarles ran for office, I understood that I could be great. When Sean Coleman opened his own agency from 2009 and built it and then turned around and hired transgender people, I was the director of programs for an agency, a nonprofit agency, and I have no degree. Thank you. Javon Martin, Princess Janae's Place, I thank you. I thank you so much. And I know we don't talk all the time because I'm kind of mad at you, but I love you. And to each and every one of you out here, we're not asking you to do anything other than respect us. Don't tell me about tolerance. Don't tell me about acceptance. Look at me as the woman that I am and respect that. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Brad Hoylman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dominique. We're all fans of your show, Pose. You know, there's a lot of posing in politics in Albany in particular. It's just not as glamorous or pretty, I have to say. But I'm so honored to be here as the state senator representing the center. Congratulations again on the new baby, Glenda. And I look out and I see Deborah Glick and Harry Bronson, who are the LGBTQ caucus in the Assembly. And Deborah Glick made history as the first openly LGBTQ person elected to the New York State Legislature. And I see my other Assembly co-sponsor, Dick Gottfried. He made history as the first fully evolved straight male elected to the New York State Legislature. And I stand here as the only member of the LGBTQ caucus in the New York State Senate. It can be a lonely place, I have to say, in that members' lounge, but I've got amazing, amazing colleagues, and some of them are here who I want to acknowledge. David Carlucci, State Senator Alessandra Biaggi, State Senator Robert Jackson, State Senator Jessica Ramos. Senator Ramos said to me before we debated the agenda bill that it was so important to her for a whole host of reasons. But you know what really struck me in our conversation was that in her community, transgender folks are a new voting bloc. And State Senator Mike Gianaris couldn't be here today, but he is the original co-prime sponsor of the ban on conversion therapy. So give him a round of applause. You know, I stand not only on Deborah's shoulders, but my predecessor, State Senator Tom Duane. I literally would not be standing here without you. Thank you very much. And of course, our former Council Speaker, Christine Quinn, and our current Council Speaker, Corey Johnson, proud, elected, out members of our community. So, you know, it's amazing, Governor, what you've done for our community. And, you know, I am just so grateful for your leadership, for your persistence, for your team. Somebody was asking me the other day about your LGBTQ agenda, and I said, he's got great taste in men because Alfonso David is your counsel. And Melissa, thank you. And Lieutenant Governor Hochul, we've had some exciting time on the floor already. But Governor, you have always made our community a centerpiece of your agenda. And that can't be said enough. I mean, you are the most pro-LGBTQ governor in New York State history. That's just the way it is. And Jessica, back to her, during our floor debate on gender, one of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, in response to Senator Ramos's comment that we need to go further for trans rights, his response was, Jesus Christ, further? I say Jesus Christ, further. You know, it is so appropriate that we are gathered here today with you, Governor, because this is the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion. 2019 will go down in history in that regard, but also by the bills we are signing today. And it's also more appropriate because it was transgender and gender nonconforming people who lit the spark, who began the modern LGBTQ civil rights movement. So we stand on their shoulders today. We would not be here without Sylvia Rivera. We would not be here without Marsha P. Johnson. Today is in their honor. And I'll close by saying this. It's been 8 long years in the New York State Senate that we have been able to bring an LGBTQ-specific bill to the floor. 8 long years. Every time a bill was proposed by one of our Assembly colleagues, it was stricken by the Republican majority simply because it pertained to LGBTQ people. We have changed that this week because of the leadership of Andrea Stewart-Cousins. Because she has made our human rights a priority, not just in the first 6 months of session, not just in the first 3 weeks of session, but in the first week of our legislative session. That is a tremendous accomplishment. I cannot be more grateful to her enough. And she told me one of her inspirations for doing so was a woman she met in Westchester when she passed the first human rights law 20 years ago. A woman named Joanne Principali. And Joanne, she said that you approached her 20 years ago, and you said, what can we do for our community? And Senator Stewart Cousins said, we will protect you. We will fight for your rights. And she was so proud to see you in the gallery when we passed agenda last week. So congratulations. So to all of the members of our community, I say thank you for your activism. Thank you for your persistence. It's amazing to see the transgender pride flag here on this stage. The pink represents little girls, the blue represents little boys, and the white represents those among us who do not identify with either gender. So we are doing that today. We are doing this, Governor, with your support, with your leadership, with your partnership for the little boys and girls and everyone else who grows up in the state of New York. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Assemblymember Deborah Glick.
Today is a homecoming for me. In this very room, it didn't look quite this nice. But in 1986, I became the first woman president of Gay and Lesbian Independent Democrats. Another club started because some of the men did not want to have a lesbian president of their Democratic club. So a shout out to Stonewall Democrats. We are now all united. To Glenda, thank you for letting us in your home, and congratulations on the new baby. We are, it has been a long journey, and a lot of people have suffered a great deal to come to this day. Many of us didn't think we would get to this day, as many of us did not think that we would ever get the right to marry. Governor, thank you for your support, your generosity of spirit, and your leadership. We thank you for all you've done for the community. And I want to thank Kathy Hochul, who has come from a part of New York State that has not necessarily been the most supportive of women's rights or the LGBTQ community, but Kathy has always been with us, so thank you very much. When I first came out in 1971 or 2, there was no will and grace, let alone pose. And it never seemed like, I mean, I was very fortunate. My family was very accepting, though nervous about what the neighbors would think. I grew up in Queens, not that far from where the governor grew up. Yeah, so is Queens in the house? I thought we had a lot of Queens in the house. And I was lucky, but a lot of LGBTQ youngsters are not. On the homeless youth, 40% are LGBTQ kids. I don't think that that's the size of the LGBTQ community. So we are disproportionately represented in the homeless youth community because people get turned out of their homes. They're not welcome. I was proud to support and sponsor the ban on conversion therapy. Because when families cannot deal with the fact that they have LGBTQ youngsters, the answer is not for you to try to send your child to a charlatan to change their sexual orientation. The answer is for you to go to therapy. So I'm proud that the Assembly, under Speaker Hastie, has continued to support and have the Assembly carry the torch till we had the opportunity to turn that torch over to a solidly Democratic state Senate. And I am so happy to have so many new women in both the Assembly and the Senate who have the desire to lead, the compassion and the empathy to make policy that reflects the generosity of spirit that New York State stands for. And I know that press conferences usually don't go on this long, but this has been a celebration, and one that is well-deserved because this community has waited a long time. And when it was a little bit more lonely in Albany in 1990 when I was elected as the first openly LGBT member of the state legislature, there were some good people there, and more good people have joined the legislature. And I want to recognize my colleagues who, frankly, between January and June, I spend more time with than anybody else in my life. So I want to recognize, first and foremost, the co-sponsor of the gender bill, Assemblymember Dick Gottfried. My brother in the LGBTQ caucus, Harry Bronson. My sisters, Rebecca Seawright, Joanne Simon, and one of my newest and favorite Assembly members, Natalia Fernandez from the Bronx. A friend from Queens, and I always have to put Queens first, as you know, Michael Dendecker. Oh, and I see someone who is one of my new sisters who I think had been on the list but had come late and so wasn't recognized before. My sister from the Bronx, from Brooklyn, Assemblymember Frontis. Dr. Frontis. And my other brothers, Robert Rodriguez, Robert Carroll, and a new member from Staten Island, Charles Fall. So I just want to say that while it has been a long time, victory is sweet, and it is something to savor. but there are still things that need to be done for our community. And I know that with the leadership and the friendship and the team surrounding the governor, Governor Cuomo will continue to make history for the LGBTQ community. Now, Governor, I think it's time to sign the bills.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It really is such an emotional day.
It
Such
is.
a long.
You had the best line. There are a lot of queens in here. Why would I think that?